For 2 months, the jury inside the Supreme Court in Morwell has been trying to separate fact from fiction. Is this a case of deliberate poisoning over an unsuspecting lunch, or as the defence puts it, a tragic accident? The jury is being asked to determine if Erin Patterson murdered her estranged husband Simon's parents, Don and Gail Patterson, his aunt Heather Wilkinson, and tried to murder Heather's husband Ian Wilkinson by feeding them all a lunch containing poisonous death cap mushrooms at her home in Leongatha in July 2023. 3 died, only Heather's husband Ian survived. Simon was invited but declined the night before. Erin Patterson has maintained her innocence from the outset and says their deaths were a tragic accident. With no more evidence to be heard, it was Crown Prosecutor Dr. Nanette Rogers who would first attempt to sway the jurors. At the centre of the Crown's case against Ms Patterson are 4 calculated deceptions it says the mother of 2 made before and after the lunch. The first was a lie about having cancer. The Crown Prosecutor told the jury it was an unusual invitation from the accused, who painted a picture the lunch was not just social, but concerned important family business. The court heard Erin Patterson told her lunch guests she had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and wanted advice on how to break the news to the kids.
The accused never thought she would have to account for this lie. She didn't think her lunch guests would live to reveal it. Her lie would die with them.
Erin Patterson testified she fabricated her concerns about having cancer because she was embarrassed about her plans to have gastric bypass surgery and needed support for her children. The second deception, the Crown says, is the lunch itself and the death cap mushrooms she allegedly used in the meal.
The sinister deception was to use a nourishing meal as the vehicle to deliver the deadly poison.
From a digital record of a computer seized from her home, the Crown brought the jury to what they say were the targeted searches for death cap mushroom locations on the citizen science website iNaturalist. In the months leading up to the lunch, sightings of death cap mushrooms growing in nearby townships Loch and Outram in May and April of 2023 were posted to the website. Dr. Rogers drew on evidence that Erin Patterson's phone connected to cell towers, indicating possible visits on the 22nd of May in Outram and the 28th of April in Loch. The Crown told the jury Erin Patterson purchased a dehydrator on the 28th of April, approximately 2 hours after her possible visit to Loch. She shared photos of the dehydrator to online friends, telling them she was dehydrating mushrooms and blitzing them into powder to hide in her children's meals. Erin Patterson dumped the dehydrator 4 days after the lunch. Traces of death cap mushrooms were later found inside of it. In the days following the lunch, Erin Patterson claims she too fell ill, just not as sick as the other guests. This is what the prosecution says is the third calculated deception. While in hospital at both Leongatha and Dandenong, the prosecution claims Ms Patterson showed no signs of the serious illness that the other 4 guests were suffering.
It is inexplicable about why 4 of 5 people who ostensibly ate the same meal fell fatally ill and only one person, the person who prepared the meal, did not.
As an explanation of why she wasn't seriously unwell, Erin Patterson previously told the court she binged on 3/4 of an orange cake after the lunch and vomited afterwards. Dr. Rogers said there's no evidence from any expert as to whether vomiting after ingesting a poison would prevent the absorption of the toxins and reduce any ill effects. The fourth deception the prosecution says Erin Patterson carried out was the sustained cover-up of the truth after the lunch. This included allegedly lying about the source of the mushrooms in the beef Wellington coming from Woolworths and an Asian grocer, allegedly concealing her usual mobile phone from police, and allegedly lying about feeding her children leftovers with the mushrooms scraped off the day after the lunch.
Erin Patterson told so many lies, it's hard to keep track of them. She's told lies upon lies because she knew the truth would implicate her.
Dr. Nanette Rogers said Erin Patterson's fifth deception was the one she had tried to play on the jury with her untruthful evidence. Dr. Rogers said her starkest lie was when she told the jury she had planned to get gastric bypass surgery in 2023 at the Enriched Clinic in Melbourne. This clinic does not offer and has never offered gastric bypass surgery. In her final statement to the jury, the Crown said it's only natural to wonder about the question of motive. But she said,
"The question is not why she did this. The question you have to determine is, has the prosecution proved beyond reasonable doubt that the accused did this deliberately?"
The defence, led by Colin Mandy SC, told the jury Erin Patterson was not on trial for being a liar and said without a motive, proving intention is difficult.
Our argument to you is that motive is very important to the proof of intention and usually fundamental to it.
Mr. Mandy told the jury there was overwhelming evidence Erin's relationship with her estranged husband Simon's family was loving, supportive and respectful. He said the prosecution's allegation that Ms. Patterson also wanted to kill Simon, who declined to attend the lunch, is absurd. If that was true, he said she would be planning to wipe out her only support network.
There's no possible prospect that Erin wanted in those circumstances to destroy her whole world, her whole life.
Mr. Mandy said the prosecution had taken a flawed approach, cherry-picking evidence to support their theory that she's guilty.
The accused's actions that might have been explicable given the information available to her at the time can appear sinister when viewed through the lens of what you know happened subsequently.
Mr. Mandy said Erin Patterson had not told any guest before the lunch that she had cancer. He described the prosecution's claim that the cancer lie would die with the lunch guests as illogical and irrational, referring to the evidence of surviving lunch guest Ian Wilkinson that she told them about a cancer diagnosis after they had eaten a meal.
The only rational conclusion is that the lie about cancer had absolutely nothing to do with any intention to kill, if there was one. What's the point of telling them at the end, after they've eaten the food?
On his client's plans for gastric bypass surgery and her appointment with the Enriched Clinic in September 2023, Colin Mandy said,
Her understanding at the time that she booked it was that they offered the full range of weight loss treatment options, including liposuction, gastric bypass and other surgery. She was mistaken, honestly mistaken.
Mr. Mandy told the jury of her growing interest in wild mushrooms during COVID lockdowns, referring to photos of foraged mushrooms found on an SD card at her home. Mr. Mandy said it was through this interest she became aware of death cap mushrooms, and the characterisation by the prosecution of her accessing the iNaturalist website was misleading.
This was not a person carefully studying this information. This was not a deep and abiding interest in this subject matter. It was passing attention.
The defence disputed the prosecution's interpretation of cell phone tower data. Mr. Mandy said the expert witness also confirmed the possibility that the phone could connect to those towers even if it was with her in her home in Leongatha. Mr. Mandy said Erin Patterson had foraged mushrooms in 2023 and pointed to how it was possible death caps ended up in the beef Wellingtons.
She dried those mushrooms and put them in that Tupperware container in her pantry that contained other dried mushrooms. And that's her evidence, and she's always been consistent about it.
Erin Patterson says she used mushrooms in that Tupperware container in the mushroom paste. Erin Patterson's defence barrister said she did not engage in the incriminating conduct after the lunch as argued by the prosecution. He told the jury she did those things because she was panicked when confronted with the terrible realisation that her actions had caused the illnesses of the people she loved. Mr. Mandy disputed the prosecution's allegation that Erin Patterson feigned illness while the other guests were dying in hospital. He referred to a clinical study which showed people who have eaten the same meal containing death cap mushrooms can have varied severity of illness.
The scientific literature says very firmly from actual experts in death cap mushroom poisoning that that's a possible outcome.
Several times, Mr. Mandy zoned in on questions he said the prosecution failed to ask witnesses. He challenged the claim by the Crown that even a little bit of death cap mushroom consumption would make someone very ill. In summing up, Colin Mandy asked what's more likely for Erin to have done at the lunch: kill everyone or reconnect with everyone for the sake of the children. He advised the jury if there's a possibility of accident, you must not find her guilty, and said the prosecution case has not reached the high bar of beyond reasonable doubt. Next week, the jury will retire to consider their verdict.